I do remember the first time I came into the center. I was not quite comfortable in my identity yet, so I was a little worried about going to a space that was like LGBT center.
I remember walking up the stairs of the center, and it was one of the most terrifying moments of my freshman year because I had all these questions about myself. I felt like other people were going to be asking those questions.
But that's not what happened. I showed up and I walked into the center and they were actually having staff meeting. 7 faces instantly turned and looked at me when I walked in, and I was just like, I'm just here for the printing.
No one actually walked up to me and asked about whether I was queer, like anything about my life.
And I immediately felt really welcomed. I didn't really have to deal with any judgment or asking about my sexuality or gender. I was given an opportunity to not really have to worry about the label.
This is one of those places where you feel completely free. This is your space and it belongs to you.
I don't think that it just reaches queer students, because I know all of my friends in my dorm, regardless of their identity, will come hang out here.
The center itself is very blank. It has lots of whiteboards, it has computers, it's very minimalist, and the idea is you project yourself onto the space. So having a space that's malleable and having an ethos that is very, very broad allows many different people to be served. So instead of saying, we're gonna fix this particular issue, we care about students in whatever their issues are.
Bring the front leg up as much as possible.
The center space is my favorite place to be on a hot day, and I think about a hot day because you're sitting in the couch and all the doors and windows are open and the breeze comes through, and I don't know, for me it smells a little bit like the ocean.
You're just like taking a nice stroll in like this pasture that is very green.
This provides a space where like no matter what your problems were or where you were coming from, this is a neutral zone. Everyone can learn and bring each other up.
My directors teach all the staff to exercise this level of compassion and listening every day, 12 to 5 p.m. I think that is one of the best things that the center has done.
Working with so many diverse people with different perspectives allows me to really connect with everyone and also just to be a bridge between communities.
Learn a lot about what the experience of being queer is outside of like your own.
By being connected and by having connections between different centers, we are trying to represent the connections that happen within an individual. Every identity is different. But because you have this one thing that connects you, you feel like you can start having a conversation. So I see you here. Obviously, we have something similar because we're both in this space. But who knows what your interests are? So we sit down and start talking.
You may have someone who's doing like really interesting research on growth mindset come and talk to students about academics and how to adapt to being in this new rigorous environment. Or you may have them talk about being queer identified in spirituality and have a panel of students who identify with some sort of spiritual practice.
I'm teaching, but I'm learning at the exact same time. I get to interact with people from all different backgrounds and become educated about, where did they come from? And that's central to the job of being a mentor, connecting people on different levels.
The job is to create the space into something so intellectually bubbling over that it just becomes infectious. So I sit there with people and we talk about one of my favorite books that's in the bookshelf. And I'd say like, you don't think about how George Eliot relates to gender expression, but it totally does. And here's why. And you can sit down and get into really animated conversations with people that perhaps you didn't know before.
That makes sense. Yeah. I'm a senior, so I've been applying for off-campus jobs. And in the interviews, the question has come up, what's your ideal work environment? And I have my answer right away because I start describing the work that I do at the center and the type of environment it is here. The directors have been incredibly supportive in trusting us that we're going to do good work and then providing support when it's necessary.
One day, I just sort of took my dry erase marker because knowing that a lot of people just use the dry erase boards as sort of like informal conversation or chat room in a way, I decided to just draw animals. And for the past 2 years, I have drawn anything from a hummingbird to jellyfish to tortoises to lions to peacocks. Some kid has come up to this dry erase board and made this place his own for one moment just by drawing this absurdly large jellyfish. I think it adds a sense of home to this place.
By having and creating safe spaces everywhere on campus, grad students in their dorms or grad students in their departments or student in various other cultural centers is really important. And we strive to connect people and reach out to everyone on campus.
I think it's harmful when people don't take the time to listen and don't take the time to open themselves up, but that happens very rarely because we're able to create safe spaces that when you walk in, you feel like home.